Hey, I'm back with my camera and my tripod and my Steam Deck, and I've got my first 5 games that I would play on this platform. And this is not the definitive list, this is my list. This is the list that I would go to and reach for on this machine. And I've got a couple of caveats. One of them is that I love playing indie games and kind of smaller scale games, and this machine is absolutely perfect for that. So whether you love the Hades or the Shovel Knight games or something like Circuit Superstars, which was a big hit in my last Steam Deck video that I put together. Everybody was asking, what is the top-down racing game? It's called Circuit Superstars, and it's wonderful, especially on this machine. I also didn't include any of the massive action role-playing experiences that are out there. A lot of JRPGs like Dragon Quest XI or Tales of Arise or Scarlet Nexus or the Ni no Kuni games. There's lots of great JRPGs and action RPGs that are wonderful to play on this. It's almost like you're opening up a book because you can play these games wherever you want to go, and these games are massive. No, my list is a little bit more esoteric than that, and what I wanted to do, and I talked about this briefly in my 3 months later video that I did on the Steam Deck, one of the things that really draws me to this machine is that it can play big AAA style video games. Of course, I've got some of those on my list. I'm also very partial to the fact that my Steam library, which is over 1,000 games at this point, I think I've been on Steam for about 17 years now, and I've got tons of games on there, but my Steam library goes back very far, and there's lots of great hits from yesteryear that run exceedingly well on this machine, even if they haven't been verified. And I've got a few of those on my first 5 list. Let's get started. Number 5 is Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, and I notice they call it Collection now on Steam. This is an exceptional racing experience, and it's also a true blue love letter to not only Sonic, but lots of great Sega franchises from the past. One of my favorite things about this game is that we celebrate all of these different locations like Samba de Amigo, and we've got Super Monkey Ball in there. Of course, lots of Sonic levels and Jet Grind Radio, and lots of different characters and locations that you know from across Sega lore. That's wonderful, but they've also remastered themes and music cues from all kinds of games in this thing, so it's almost like you're getting a museum celebration of the history of Sega with this game, which is wonderful. And of course, now you can get all of the DLC characters. Wreck-It Ralph is in the Steam version of Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. One of my favorite characters to play as is Rio from Shenmue, who drives an Outrun arcade cabinet, the sit-down arcade cabinet, and you can actually see Outrun running on the little screen that's represented in the character's animation, which is just incredible. It's so much fun. And of course, the game runs beautifully on the Steam Deck. It's a 60 frames per second racing experience. You're not going to find too many people playing online, although I did race against other people the other day. They kicked my ass. But it's really just about going through the core racing experiences, and then the developers at Sumo Digital threw in all kinds of great extra components in there, like having to navigate through traffic or hit the challenge gates before you're eliminated. It's so well crafted, and it so effectively represents the Sega pantheon, the history of this unbelievably valuable company.
You did it! First place!
And I just love playing this game, especially now on the Steam Deck. Number 4 on my list is God of War. This is Sony Santa Monica's absolute epic, their masterpiece game that they released on the PlayStation 4. It was improved on PS4 Pro and again on PlayStation 5, and it runs very well on the Steam Deck. It's not the ultimate version of the game, obviously. You can't put everything on Epic and just experience this thing in the magnificence that it really deserves, but it blows my mind playing a game with this much detail and this much craft and this much love in all of the, intricacies of the storytelling, all of these incredible characters that we meet in these unbelievable situations like Kratos' fight with Baldur. This is just an unbelievable game, and it's one of the best PlayStation video games ever made, and that's saying something. They own some incredible franchises. But the thing that I think really sticks out for me when I'm playing God of War is it flashes me back to the state of disbelief that I felt when I played Vita games when that machine launched in 2012. I couldn't believe that I was playing PlayStation 3 caliber experiences in the palm of my hand, these beautiful 3D visuals, like games like Wipeout and Uncharted Golden Abyss. And, obviously things have progressed a lot in terms of, rendering output and the visual stamp and the quality of these games. And Sony Santa Monica has proven themselves again and again, but this is their masterwork. And the fact that you can run this game at, at a pretty decent fidelity setting at around 40 frames per second on the Steam Deck is just absolutely staggering and mind-blowing. And of course, the other thing that I love about playing God of War on the Steam Deck right now is that it's getting me ready for God of War Ragnarok, which is coming soon to the PlayStation 5 and likely not too long after to the Steam Deck. It's an incredible game. So if you haven't played God of War, I feel great envy for you. And you're about to be blown away by this experience no matter where you play it, but it's especially fun to relish the fact that you can in fact play it and have a great time on the Steam Deck. Now, number 3 on my list is not verified to run great on the Steam Deck, but it's been running great on my Steam Deck ever since I first tested it out. It's called Batman Arkham Knight. You might have heard about this juggernaut superhero game, and it's going to be challenged as soon as Sony releases the Marvel Spider-Man and then Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales on Steam, because likely those will run great on Steam Deck as well. But it blows me away that I can play Batman Arkham Knight at 60 frames per second on the Steam Deck with fidelity just fully cranked, because this is an older game. It's been around for a long time. This is, an early PlayStation 4 experience. It's Unreal Engine, but everything it was juiced and maxed by Rocksteady to just look incredible. And the rain effects and the bad guys that you'll be chasing as you're racing around the streets, and the awesome Batmobile, my favorite Batmobile, by the way. And yes, there's too much dependence on the Batmobile, and sometimes the fights that you get into with the drones can drag on a little bit, but it's still freaking incredible. And obviously the story has lots of great psychological layers, and all of Batman's villains and bad guys pop in, and lots of Batman's allies are in there as well in really incredible supporting roles. It's an amazing story, and there's so much depth and detail. And you know what? All of the Arkham games are absolutely worth experiencing if you haven't played them. And I would play them in sequential order, because Arkham Knight, I think, was Rocksteady showing their full flex and putting a lot of different assets and a lot of different gameplay hooks into the experience. And it blows my mind that it plays so freaking well on the Steam Deck in 2022. Number 2 on my list is Titanfall 2. This is Respawn's best first-person shooter, and for my money, it is the best first-person shooter that I've played, and it's because it has this unbelievably incredible multiplayer component, which I don't know, truth be told, how popular it remains to this day. I suspect that there are still lots of people playing online. I didn't really want to jump back into that. I loved it when I first experienced multiplayer, but for me, Titanfall 2 is all about its amazing campaign with all of its twists and turns and surprises and, introduction of new mechanic after new mechanic. The fact that it's as fun to be the pilot and run around and do all the damage that you can in a kind of a traditional first-person shooter sense, although with augmented mobility and some really incredible sci-fi capabilities later on. It's as fun to be on foot as it is to be in the Titan and be in control of BT and all of his super-powered capabilities, and all of the different variants that you get with BT, these different loadouts that you get. So you can jump up in the air in your giant mech and rain hellfire down on your opponents and punch people to smithereens and blow up robots in all kinds of interesting and very satisfying ways. The game runs at 60 frames per second, even though it isn't verified specifically to run on deck yet. There is a profile that you can load up, which is really cool. The community for Steam Deck is amazing, so it will kind of adjust the power requirements as needed for the game. But honestly, I just run this game with everything set to high, and it runs beautifully at 60 frames per second. Shockingly fast, shockingly deep, so incredibly satisfying to re-experience. It's just a showcase game. It's a first-person shooter that you can walk up to anybody if you've got this device and say, look at how freaking powerful my handheld game system is. Absolute stunner. Titanfall 2 is number 2 on my list. And that leaves me, of course, with number 1, and I bet you know what that is. It's Elden Ring, and this is a game that Valve actually worked with Bandai Namco and From Software to kind of augment and get running as well as possible on this device. Now, obviously, you're not going to see everything at 60 frames per second here. You're going to take some knocks on the fidelity a little bit, but it's still breathtakingly beautiful and absolutely expansive. And like I've mentioned, talking about role-playing games on the Steam Deck, it is like you're opening up pages of this beautiful and expansive book, and you just get lost in the mysteries and the pages and the twists and turns that you take as you cruise around the landscape and run from giant hands that race after you like creepy spiders. Those things are terrifying. And then, of course, you get your ass handed to you by all the epic bosses that you get into. But every nook and cranny of this game world is worth exploring. And there is just so much enjoyment and just breathtaking beauty in the way that this thing was crafted. And it's absolutely staggering that Elden Ring has run so well on the Steam Deck since it launched. It really evoked my sense of awe and wonder when I was playing The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild in handheld mode on the Nintendo Switch when that launched. There's a direct correlation, like a one-to-one connection there. And obviously, you know, Elden Ring has taken great inspiration from Breath of the Wild. But it's a can't-miss game. So far, it's the best game of 2022. There are no other contenders, really, I can see on the field yet. And it's just an incredible statement that it's a great fit. And that's why Elden Ring is #1 on my first 5 for the Steam Deck. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll be back soon with some fresh content for you. I would love to hear your first 5 for the Steam Deck in the comments below. We'll see you soon. And until then, play forever.